folding table. That's what found him. The most powerful military in human history. Satellites that can read a license plate from space. Special operations units that don't officially exist. The entire CIA, hundreds of millions of dollars. All of it hunting one man, Saddam Hussein. For 8 straight months, nothing. The man was a ghost. And every day he stayed hidden, more soldiers came home in boxes. Then, a single army sergeant figures out something the entire operation had missed. Something that had been sitting in plain sight the entire time. It's August 2003. Eric Maddox arrives in Tikrit with a folding table, a translator, and 30 days. This is how he finds Saddam Hussein. The conventional war ended almost insultingly fast. Saddam's army collapsed in weeks. Baghdad fell, and for one brief moment in the spring of 2003, it genuinely looked like the hard part was over. But then, the bombs started. IEDs on roads that were supposed to be clear. Rocket attacks on bases that were supposed to be secure. And somewhere, out in the Iraqi desert, Saddam Hussein was still alive, still sending recorded messages, still a symbol. As long as he was out there, the insurgency had a reason to keep going. Finding him became the mission above all other missions. That August, the army sent Maddox to Tikrit, Saddam's hometown, the heart of the Sunni triangle, where loyalty to the old regime ran generations deep and distrust of Americans ran deeper. Maddox is the only interrogator in the US Army, also qualified as a ranger. Precisely why the Delta Force handpicked him. His orders were simple enough on paper. Interrogate detainees, generate leads, and help locate the most wanted man on Earth. 30 days, then he goes home. He walks into those interrogation rooms, and within 72 hours, he understands exactly why the whole thing is failing. The detainee in front of him is talking, enthusiastically, detailed, confident, and specific. And Maddox already knows it's all fabricated. The standard interrogation approach had been built around one idea: pressure. Isolate the detainee, break his resistance, get the information out before the window closes. It was designed for speed, because speed was what everyone demanded. Commanders breathing down necks, generals wanting answers by morning, the clock running constantly. And the system was providing exactly what it promised. Detainees confessing, giving up names, and sounding cooperative. But Maddox had been tracking those leads, following the addresses, checking the names, and almost none of it was real. The locations were outdated. The people described had nothing to do with anything. The information looked like intelligence, but in reality, it was worthless. People were saying whatever ended the sessions fastest. Maddox starts to wonder, what if breaking someone is precisely what ruins it? What if a man under that kind of pressure stops trying to tell you the truth and starts trying to survive the room? That gap between what the sessions were producing and what was actually usable was where the entire operation was bleeding out. Maddox decides to do something that frankly makes no sense to anyone watching him. He slows down. He pulls his chair closer, puts the notepad to the side, and asks the detainee about his family, where he grew up, what the neighborhood looked like before the war. The man across from the table doesn't know what to do with this. Maddox keeps going anyway. He asks the kind of questions that feel like small talk. But the whole time, he's paying attention to what gets mentioned without thinking. A name dropped once and never repeated. A relationship described casually, like it goes without saying. The details people share when they're no longer trying to be careful. It takes longer, it produces almost nothing in the first week. And back at the base, people are starting to wonder if this guy actually knows what he's doing. But every session is a piece, and the pieces are starting to form a shape. Saddam Hussein had survived this long because of a protection network that almost nobody had thought to map out. Since he was ousted from power, he had been moving constantly, never sleeping in the same place twice, never using his phones, or meeting anyone who didn't already have a reason to stay quiet. The people shielding him were mostly from Tikrit, a Sunni majority region. Many were people bound to him through family ties and decades of loyalty that no American operation had touched. The intelligence picture was full of former generals, Ba'ath Party officials, all high-profile targets with their faces printed on decks of playing cards, with the ace of spades, Saddam himself, at the helm, for easy recognition during raids. But the people actually keeping Saddam alive were invisible. Drivers, cousins, former low-level guards, people with no reason to appear on any list. The whole operation had been hunting the names it already knew. Nobody was looking at the space between them. Maddox starts filling in the gaps. Every session adds a thread and connections that only become visible when you have enough of them laid out in front of you. One name in particular keeps coming up. This is Muhammad Ibrahim Omar al-Muslit, a former bodyguard and personal aide on Saddam's staff. In Maddox's own words, he's fun-loving, loves to drink whiskey, and play dominoes. He also has a physical description with one particular aspect that stands out: a cleft chin, also known as the Travolta chin. Nobody in the intelligence chain is losing sleep over this guy. He has no obvious rank and no obvious history, nothing that puts him on a priority list. But almost everybody Maddox interrogates keeps bringing him up in conversations that have no reason to overlap. Always mentioned the way you mention someone everyone already knows, casually, like a given. Something clicks. Muhammad Ibrahim is the one keeping Saddam alive. The safe houses, the movement schedules, the insurgency, it all runs through him. Maddox is convinced. Find Muhammad Ibrahim and you find Saddam. There's only one problem though. Maddox is a sergeant, and what he's about to ask is going to be a very hard sell. This is Maddox's commander. He goes by the call sign Bam Bam, the man he needs to convince. The officers Maddox is briefing have been running this operation for months. They have files, they have priorities, an entire intelligence chain built around the most wanted list, former generals, the faces on the playing cards. The apparatus is running at full capacity. It's producing results, arrests, raids, everything handled in the conventional way. Maddox telling the team the framework is wrong is obviously not received well. The skepticism isn't even personal, it's institutional. These men are doing exactly what the system trained them to do: demand verification, require consensus, and distrust the single source. And what Maddox is bringing them isn't agency-cleared intelligence. Acting off detainee information could risk the lives of Delta Force operatives. Maddox understands and can't argue with that. Instead, he keeps connecting the dots to prove his theory. His 30 days are up. He requests to stay. Approved. He keeps working. The map grows, sharpens, fills in. His extended rotation ends. He requests to stay again. Approved again. Maddox understands that Tikrit is such a small village where everyone knows everyone. the chances of an outsider infiltrating the community are 0 to none. Their best bet is to get the detainees to turn. He makes a case, and eventually, Bam Bam gets on board. He agrees to test his theory. The raids shift, targeting lower-level operatives. Each one pulls someone new. Each person goes into a room with Maddox. And the people watching start to see in real time the thing Maddox had been describing for weeks. By the time Muhammad Ibrahim becomes an operational priority, it isn't because Maddox won a room. It's because he refused to let the argument die until the evidence made it impossible to ignore. Now, he just has to find the man. Early December 2003, a raid brings in Muhammad Ibrahim's son. He sits across from Maddox and swears he knows nothing. His father left 2 hours before the raid. He has no idea where he went, but then he mentions a seemingly trivial detail. His father loves to fish, and that 6 weeks ago he built a pond right next to the Tigris River in Samarra, close to Tikrit. When Maddox first arrived, one of his early interrogations was with Saddam Hussein's personal cook. During that interrogation, Maddox discovered Saddam had an obsession, mazguf, a traditional Iraqi fish dish. The man ate it constantly. It was one of the few things he could not go without. Maddox ponders for a second. Why would anyone build a pond in the middle of a war? Unless you've got to stock the pond full of fish, for the fish lover can't go to the fish market. Maddox is certain Saddam is close. December 1st, 2003, acting on everything Muhammad Ibrahim's son revealed, Maddox's team moves on the fish hatchery near Samarra. They hit it fast and hard. Neither Muhammad Ibrahim or Saddam is there, but 2 men are. The first is a cook, hired personally by Muhammad Ibrahim. The second is a cousin of Muhammad Ibrahim's deputy, Muhammad Kuda. Maddox sits down with both of them. He learns when Muhammad Ibrahim left the house, he set off for Baghdad. The trail is still warm, but Maddox is out of time. His deployment is over. He has to pack his bags and leave Iraq. The irony? His route out of the country takes him directly through Baghdad. He lands in Baghdad with his bags already packed and a flight out to Qatar scheduled for 8 a.m. But he can't let it go. He convinces the Bam Bam of Baghdad to carry out just one raid on one address that the 2 captured men had given up. Reluctantly, the order is given. At 2 a.m., 6 hours before his flight, he sits down across from Muhammad Kuda. The raid paid off, netting him and 4 other men. The room is small, 1 light, and a translator in the corner. Maddox sets nothing on the table. No notepad, no files. Nothing that signals this is anything other than a conversation. Same approach he's been running for months. After a long back and forth, Kuda stops, then says it quietly. Muhammad Ibrahim was at the house when the soldiers raided. Maddox runs down the corridor, straight to the holding cells. 4 men brought in from the same raid, still hooded. He reaches the first, pulls the hood. Not him. Second, not him. Maddox grabs the third hood, pulls it. Before it's even fully off, he sees it. The chin. The cleft chin. You're Muhammad Ibrahim. I've been waiting to meet you. The man looks at him, says something in Arabic,
أنت المحقق الذي يرتدي القميص الأزرق. لقد كنت أنتظر لقاءك أنا أيضاً.
The guard at the door translates.
He says, "You're the interrogator in the blue shirt. He's been waiting to meet you as well."
He already knows who Maddox is. Muhammad Ibrahim denies everything. He absolutely swears he has no idea where Saddam Hussein is. He's been around long enough to know how these rooms work. But Maddox has spent 5 months building the picture Muhammad Ibrahim thinks he's protecting. The map is nearly complete. Maddox reads names back to him, places, dates, details that could only be obtained from within the network. The effect is precise. Every session narrows a space Muhammad Ibrahim has to maneuver. Whatever version of the story he had planned, the version carefully constructed to protect what mattered the most, is running out of room. Maddox makes him an offer: protection for his family in exchange for Saddam's location. The room goes quiet. Muhammad Ibrahim looks at Maddox.
سأخذك معي، لكن يجب أن نذهب الآن.
He knows what the clock means. Every hour they wait is an hour Saddam grows suspicious. He might move. The offer Maddox made, the only leverage either of them has, becomes worthless the moment Saddam disappears.
الآن. يجب أن يكون الآن.
Muhammad says again. But Maddox's clock has already run out. His orders are waiting. He hands everything over, every name, every connection, and every thread he pulled. All of it. He walks out of the building and heads to the airport. That evening, Task Force 121 moves on a property in Adwa, a small farming community 8 miles south of Tikrit, with Muhammad Ibrahim in tow as their prisoner. They clear 2 buildings. Still, no sign of Saddam. Frustrated, Bam heads back to the vehicle. He pulls Muhammad Ibrahim out. "You'd better start talking." Muhammad Ibrahim points to a 3rd location. The Delta Force team moves on it immediately, but finds nothing. But then, Muhammad Ibrahim starts kicking at a pipe on the ground. He wants to cooperate, but he can't get himself to give Saddam away directly. The soldiers follow the pipe. It leads to a hole in the ground with a styrofoam cover on top of it. With tensions rising and not knowing what to expect, one soldier pulls it open and another prepares to throw a grenade inside, just in case. At that exact moment, 2 hands emerge from the hole. An unkempt, disoriented man climbs out. "I am Saddam Hussein, the president of Iraq, and I want to negotiate." There's nothing else to say. The footage is broadcast worldwide. Politicians give statements. The moment goes everywhere. But the story behind it takes years to surface. What Maddox understood and what the system kept getting wrong was this: a man under enough pressure doesn't give you the truth. He gives you the version of the truth that makes the pressure stop. And those are not the same thing. The real information was always in the offhand detail. He credited the people around him, the units, the translators, the chain of decisions that put him in those rooms. He wrote about it in his book, Mission Blacklist Number 1. But the method was his. Most people still don't know his name. If this is the kind of story you want more of, leave a comment and subscribe. December 2001. The mountains of Afghanistan. American Special Forces have tracked the most notorious terrorist on Earth to a single location. CIA intercepts are live. Delta Force is in position. Everything is in place, but one decision is made. Next video, Tora Bora, the pursuit of Osama bin Laden, and the decision that changed everything.